Check. 1, 2, 3.
The D. Brief. This is the D Brief.
Go. Your guide to Detroit.
Your guide to Detroit's arts
and entertainment scene.
This is the D
Brief.
Hello and welcome to the Debrief, your podcast for Detroit concerts, comedy, plays, food, drink, and more. It's Wednesday, March 20th, 2019. I'm your co-host. My name is Seth Ressler.
And I'm Becky Scarcello.
I'm the new guy to Detroit.
And I'm the native.
That's just the way it works. Look, here's what we got on today's show. Starting with this, Bailey Sisoy Isgro of Detroit History Tours and the Detroit History Club. She is amazing. She's going to come on and drop some knowledge for us.
I'm going to tell you about Grandma Techno's new photo book.
Wayne State's Indian Students Association is putting on a really cool show at Music Hall. I'll tell you a little bit about that.
Okay. And on Friday, we have Mike Ransom coming in to talk with us. He's the chef and owner of Ema, which now has two locations, the original in Corktown and the one in Madison Heights. And they were just named by Mark Kurlianchuk as Free Press Restaurant of the Year.
That's a big deal. Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into it and meet our co-host.
The D Brief.
Coming back for day number 2, we have a guy who is the guitarist and frontman for the Gasoline Gypsies. This is a band that we kept hearing about, right? We would have other musicians on the show, and we would ask them, like, who have you seen live that's just rocking out and that's really good? And the name that we kept hearing was the Gasoline Gypsies. And apparently we weren't the only ones who were hearing about it because they were the grand prize winners of the 2017 Michigan State Fair Superstar Contest. And in 2018, the band received 2 Detroit Music Awards, one for Best Americana Act, and the other for Best Americana Recording for Killin' Time. 2018, they also released Vagabundos, new album. So we brought the guitarist and frontman in, Caleb Malooley. Welcome to the podcast.
How you doing?
Hey, welcome back.
What's it like to have to sit there and listen to somebody read that many credits? Is it,
you
getting used to that?
Feel good?
It's nice. The list is growing a little bit too, so it's very good. It's always a good thing.
Well, let's talk about the Gasoline Gypsies and this album, Vagabundos. Tell us how this came together.
So we were actually, geez, I keep bumping that table. Sorry about that. So our friend, actually the person who ended up taking our pictures, Maria Petrinko, she is a huge part of Music Hall, actually, and he brought that up. And we ended up doing our taking our pictures there for the album cover, and we had discussed what we were thinking about, and I'm trying to make long story short, but she's from Russia, and it knows a lot about the gypsy culture. You know, and that is a word that kind of goes along with that. And it was really interesting. We met her, and she explained a lot that we just didn't know about their culture and what they really do and what's going on. And that's why we chose that name. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool how it all came together.
And doesn't that refer to your fans as well at this point?
Yeah. So the Vagabundos is our tribe, as we like to call it. And we've been doing some really cool stuff with them. It's a growing group, and this summer, for example, we're doing a river float down trip where they're all going to come up and stay on our manager's property and camp, and we're bringing a couple other bands up. It's going to be a really exciting, fun thing, and anybody can become part of it. So check it out.
Very cool fan club.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk about the recording process for this album. Where did you guys actually record it?
So we recorded right here in Detroit at the Sound Shop Studios. It's at least really close to Detroit. And we brought in our own engineer, Lee Hoffman, who's been recording our stuff for a long time. And so we rented the studio space, basically. He came in and ran all the plugins and things like that for recording, and we made it happen. Then we go back to his studio in Port Huron, our hometown, kind of home base. And, we'll record vocals and some overdubs and things there to wrap it up.
So your whole band lives there?
Kind of. It's kind of still our home base, but we've all spread out from it a little bit. We're everywhere from Richmond to Sterling Heights and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Now, are you moving closer to Detroit?
Yeah, that's my plan. Hopefully, to be in this area within the next couple months. Like we're thinking Ferndale, somewhere between Ferndale and St. Clair Shores, somewhere around there.
Because you're a city guy?
Yeah, right. No, it's because the highway's right there and I can jump on it and get out of the city as fast as possible.
Why do you feel the need to be closer to Detroit? Just for the next step in your musical career?
Yeah, that's what it really is. It's seeing and be seen. There's a lot of artists out there and a lot of people networking, and when when you're sitting on 20 acres of property out in the middle of the woods. It's as much as I love it, you don't get those networking opportunities.
You hang out long enough, eventually they'll name a street after you. That's how it works around here.
Exactly.
Buy enough property.
Yeah, it was just on Bob Seger Boulevard over the weekend in Allen Park.
Glen Fry, I think it's Drive over in
Drive,
somewhere, and there's got to be like
Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin,
300 Aretha Franklin streets.
Yeah, for sure. So what are some of your influences for your band and music that inspires you?
Me personally, especially, I'm a really big classic rock fan. You know, I personally just discovered this term yacht rock. I didn't know what yacht rock was. I really didn't. And we were driving in the car the other day, and I had the yacht rock playlist on, and I looked at our bass player, and I was like, you know, if this is yacht rock, if this is the genre, I think it's my favorite genre.
And for people who don't know, yacht rock is including, some of the bands.
Yeah, so it's like Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young is a lot of it, Loggins and Messina. It's pretty much that classic rock stuff with, they put Allman Brothers in there. I think it's kind of broad, and it's kind of, you get to choose what yacht rock is, sort of thing.
Which
is what
yacht
it seems
you want to get on?
Yeah, exactly. But it's really great music with a lot of vocal harmony seems to be the theme throughout that. Just classic rock stuff with a lot of vocals.
All right, well, we're very glad that you're here. We'll tell you about everything that's going on in Detroit. So as you're picking out a home and looking, to figure out where you want to live, you know what neighborhood you're looking at?
Like I said, probably I'm really liking St. Clair Shores.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Get to the water.
I'm sorry. St. Clair Shores, not Sterling Heights.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. All right, well, we'll fill you in on everything that's going on all around town. So hang out with us.
Cool.
This is the D.
Detroit.
Brief.
Well, Becky, food and drink seems like a good place to start,
It
wouldn't you say?
does, yeah. Who doesn't love to eat? So oftentimes when a neighborhood's kind of up and coming or changing over, it's, mixed in with the food scene, right? If you start seeing new restaurants pop up, lots of other things tend to follow. So that's kind of the idea between the Jefferson Chalmers area resurgence. Okay, they've kind of started with some restaurants there. So Norma G's that we've talked about is a Caribbean place. The chef and owners from Trinidad. That opened last summer. It's Coriander Kitchen and Farm that's going to be coming. We've interviewed them before, the two women that own that. They've had an urban farm near Eastern Market for a while, and they do those paddle-to-table dinners after you do the kayaking and
awesome.
Detroit River Sports. They're opening a permanent spot.
Yeah, because when we talked to them last, they did not have a space that was open. They had events that were open to the public.
Pop-ups,
but they didn't have a space.
Now they're going to have a space,
Cool.
so that's coming. And then there's a third place, Alma Kitchen, that's going to be opening hopefully this fall in the historic Kresge building on Jefferson at Lakewood there. And that's going to be a fusion restaurant, Chinese-American, Mexican-American. So, and they're going to fulfill a need there to have all three meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner. The other two will have lunch and dinner. So it's important kind of thing to think about is that neighborhoods need restaurants that are for the residents, but also bring in outside people to come and bring attention to the neighborhood and, just contribute some income. So I think this is really cool how the city's going about it. And Jefferson East is an organization there too that's helping develop these things. And they did a whole survey a few years ago, like what do the residents want? Number one was nightlife and dining. So they were trying to make that happen, and they're catering it to help the neighborhood in a great way by saying that restaurants need to employ at least 50% of their employees from the neighborhood or the close surrounding zip codes. And I thought this was really cool. So Norma G's definitely took that to heart. 13 of their 15 employees now can walk to work.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I could walk to work.
I know.
Me too.
I know. So I just love the way this is happening. And I think sometimes different neighborhoods in Detroit get a bad rap for they have a restaurant, but it's only, white suburbanites coming and things like that. So I think Jefferson East and Jefferson Chalmers, they're really helping to make it, increase the neighborhood value too. And for people who already live there. So there's a cool event coming up this weekend, this Saturday, March 23rd at Blake's Orchard in Armada. Bees in the D, friends of the pod that we've had on, they're doing a honey dinner and a fundraiser. And so it's going to feature an exclusive honey hard cider that's made by Blake's Tap Room. And then they're going to have a tour of the production facility. You can meet the guy who makes the cider. There's a gourmet honey-themed strolling dinner. And then a honey and drink pairing. So you get to try 5 different honeys. And some people think, well, honey's honey, but no, it's like wine or beer or any other artisanal thing.
So let's talk about this, because I just found out about this a few years ago, because I think a lot of people, when they think honey, they think the plastic bear that you find at the
Yeah,
supermarket.
that squeeze it out,
Right,
and it's just sugary.
It's just like ketchup. It's just a condiment, right?
Nope.
But you're right, that there is, the word that I love is terroir, which means taste of place.
Okay.
They use it a lot in wine,
Okay,
right? Like
makes sense.
you
Yep.
grow grapes on the shady side of the hill, the wine will taste different than if you use grapes on the sunny side of the hill, that kind of thing. Well, that's also true of honey. Is the pollen and where the
Different
bee gets it and
flowers
different
and-
flowers, stuff like that.
Exactly.
And I've always wanted to go to a honey tasting, but I never actually have.
Here's your chance.
Yeah, because I would like to go in there and see. And I'm wondering if I will be able, because there are some tastings where I get a flight of beer, I can taste the difference between the IPA and the stout. But if I get a flight of sake,
Can't tell.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, right.
They'll taste-
Yeah, you'd have to see how your palate does
so
with the
I'm
honey.
curious how I do with the honey.
Yeah. So, and the cool thing is, this is, like I said, a fundraiser. And if you don't know about Bees in the D, go back and listen to our interview or look them up, because it's super cool. Bees, I love bees. I'm crazy about bees, and they're really important to our environment. I mean, we need them to pollinate all the things we're growing in the urban farms or your local garden, anything. And they just make our world healthy. So Bees in the D brings beehives to urban locations.
Yeah, a lot of them. I think there's like hives on top of Cobo Hall.
So cool.
Yeah,
I had no
On
idea
top of
about
the
that.
Foundation Hotel, Eastern Market Brewing, you know, all whole bunches of business.
Would you put a beehive in your backyard?
I would.
You would.
Oh, 100%.
They make those new ones where all you do is turn the tap. Have you seen that?
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it literally just funnels all of the honey into a reservoir, and you just
Yeah, but it's a lot of work to.
Oh, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know that I would do. I don't know that I'd get into the radiation jumpsuit and go in there with.
If
my,
I had the time and knew what I was doing, and that's Bees in the D also educates kids and adults about how to do this.
If I had kids, I'd make them. Yeah, you
go to the
the bees.
yeah, super cool thing. So, a couple highly anticipated restaurant openings that are coming. The Okra Bakery, it's going to be on Grand River Avenue in Core City. Now, that's that area kind of around the Quonset huts that they're emerging as a new spot.
Do you know about the Quonset
no,
huts?
I don't.
Yeah, so they're well, you stayed in
I stayed in
one.
them.
Yeah.
So you can Airbnb
tell.
out one of. They're these weird. It's like a cement rainbow. I don't know how
They
else
look
to
like mini
explain it.
airplane hangers.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
And people live in them.
Yep.
And there's one that you can actually Airbnb. It's like a 2-level, and you can Airbnb the second level and stay there. My girlfriend let me, got that for me for Sweetest Day, which is, by the way, the most amazing holiday ever. Do they have that up in Port Huron?
Yeah, oh yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Yes.
It's a Michigan thing.
Oh my God, it's great.
Is it a Michigan thing? I
Yes.
didn't know
It's
that.
trust me, it's not a California thing. But we stayed there and it was amazing. And I think there's a yoga studio in the lower half of that.
Well, they have a community space where they do all kinds of things for all
Okay.
the people that live there.
Cool.
It's like a mini
Airbnb
commune.
Very
there
cool.
when you're.
It's really
it's
neat.
worth it.
So yeah, and so now there's going to be a few restaurants coming there too. So this bakery that's going to focus on breads with heritage grains and meat pies and sausage rolls and salads and things like that. And it's going to be located across the street from another highly anticipated spot called Magnet, which is the new project of the Takoi founders. So it's going to be vegetable centric, everything made on a wood-fired grill. And then the Shinola Hotel, we've already got San Morello and the Evening Bar in there, but there's also going to be a new beer hall called the Brakeman, Penny Reds, which is fried chicken joint, and Madcap Coffee, which is a coffee shop that's based in Grand Rapids.
See, relax. City living's not going to be that bad.
There's
Yeah.
new stuff every day.
You'll be
That's
okay.
awesome.
The D3.
All right, Becky, Caleb, we have regulars who call into the show from time to time, and they have an area of expertise. They basically know more than Becky and I do about certain things. And
Which isn't that hard.
Which isn't that hard. So we like to find out more about what's going on. We have on the line Bailey Sisoy Isgro. She is the executive director of the Detroit History Tours, as well as the Detroit History Club. And first of all, Bailey, congratulations. I heard that you just got engaged.
Thank you. Yeah, I did. He knows me well. It's a 1905 ring made here in Detroit.
Oh, it's perfect. It's so beautiful. I loved getting to
Thank
see
you.
it and seeing you guys working together at the Suffragettes Ball.
Let's talk about the Suffragettes Ball. This is something you put together for Women's History Month.
Yeah, so every year, I should say, Detroit History Club picks out one anniversary. Last year, it was the 85th anniversary of the end of Prohibition. This year, it was the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment being ratified in Michigan, women's right to vote. So we throw a themed ball to celebrate an event. And this year, we called it the Suffragettes Ball. We gathered at the Detroit Yacht Club, just about 175 of us. Everyone dressed beautifully in theme. Becky and her husband looked like a treat. And we had a themed dinner that was appropriate to the era, an era-appropriate cocktail bar. So all illegal and hush-hush because Prohibition was on. Gambling at the Epsom racetracks. Performance by a 20-person jazz band. It was a wonderful night.
You pulled out all the stops, man. It was awesome. It felt like it was a movie, like immersed in that time period. Great job.
Oh, that means the world to me. Thank you, Becky.
Caleb, I'm telling you this now. If you want to learn about the history of Detroit as you're, making your migration here, hang out with Bailey. Like, go on her tours or go to some of her events. Like,
no, that's awesome. I actually really love that kind of stuff, so I plan on taking you up on that.
So cool. Hey, speaking of Women's History Month, there's a Rosie the Riveter Hall dedication that's happening, right?
Yeah, tomorrow, Thursday. So the old UAW Ford Veterans Memorial that's right along the riverfront between kind of Cobo Hall and Hart Plaza is being rededicated on Thursday as the UAW Ford Arsenal of Democracy Rosie the Riveter Hall, which is a pretty cool thing because so rarely are buildings and monuments dedicated to women. And even though Rosie the Riveter isn't a single woman, she's sort of the icon and the archetype of the hundreds of thousands of women who supported the war effort here in America during World War II. It's pretty remarkable to see a monument and a building named in her honor.
We should also mention that you wrote the Rosie the Riveter book, or at least one of them, right?
Yes.
I'm lucky enough to count myself among a lot of people who wrote books about Rosie the Riveter, but I wrote a kid's book. I work to my age group.
No, it's fantastic. I love to see the whole Rosie the Riveter history getting so much attention. They were also at the Empty Bowls event at Eastern Market.
There were a lot of Rosies there.
Yeah. And it's just a really cool thing and a great connection to our history to elevate those what those women did.
And, there's a group called the Willow Run Tribute Rosies. I think that's who you guys saw at Empty Bowls.
Yes.
And they are an all-volunteer organization of incredible ladies that get together really to start bringing a lot of attention to Rosie the Riveter. They march in parades. They go to school groups. They'll be at the dedication on Thursday. And they give of their time and their educations very freely. It's a very acclaimed group of women. And they've become the Rosie Drill team. And I think they're one of the best parts of the Thanksgiving Day parade. And it's always fun to run into them at events. They pose for photos with you and really kind of get kids excited about Rosie the Riveter and that aspect of history.
There's also an event happening this Sunday. And here I'm going to butcher the French. It's the only language I butcher worse than English. The Marche de Nain Rouge, am I pronouncing? Is that close?
Nain Rouge, yes.
The Nain Rouge.
Yeah, so that's happening Sunday in Cass Corridor. I actually interviewed the organizer for this podcast last year. Everybody's going to meet down there at the Masonic Temple at noon and then go march around. But for people like Caleb, you know what the Nain Rouge is?
No, I do not.
All right, well, tell them, Bailey.
So the Nain Rouge is Detroit's own personal harbinger of doom. As the story goes, Antoinette de la Mothe Sur de Cadillac, this French noble of dubious heritage, sails down the Detroit River and founds Detroit on July 24th of 1701. And just a couple of days later, he sees what he describes in his journal as a bipedal goat-like creature with glowing red eyes, the curved horns of a ram, and a snout that has drool and mucus leaking from it. He says this animal leaps from the bush and growls at him. And from that day forward, anytime something bad happened in the fort, the cheese went to maggot or cholera outbroke, it was always this creature seen in the days preceding the outbreak. So eventually, Antoinette de la Mothe Sur de Cadillac decides this little bugger is out to get him, and there is something that has to be done. So he searches out a fortune teller. And the fortune teller is who gives the Nain his name. She says that is the Red Dwarf, in French, the Nain Rouge of Detroit, and he will haunt you until the day you die. Well, unfortunately, the Nain Rouge didn't get the memo. And long after Cadillac died, long after he became governor of Louisiana, Nain Rouge has haunted Detroit. Before the ice storms of 28 and 1914, both of which sunk ships on the Detroit River, left the city without power, the Nain Rouge was said to have danced along the shores. Before the hunger strikes of 38, before the riots of 37, 43, 36, and 67, Nain Rouge was said to be in the crowds, inciting people into running. He has shown up at every Lions draft, if you'll believe it. But whenever bad luck comes, he's around.
Right. I believe he was chief of staff for Kwame Kilpatrick, things like that, right?
Yes. Yeah, at the polling places.
So if you ever have a bad set, you have
I
somebody you
know
can
who to
blame
blame
it
it
on.
on.
Yes, exactly.
Not our bass player anymore. No, just kidding.
Well,
So
cool.
every year, the citizens get together now, and they basically scare him out of town. They'll meet up at Masonic Temple, and you have to wear a mask so that he can't identify you and follow you home. And then we march through the streets, yelling and cheering and sort of trying to say, your bad ways will have no effect here. And at the end of it, it turns into a bit of a show, and people really go all out with their floats and their costumes. There are different crews. The Detroit History Club has a crew. We march in the parade dressed as our favorite historical Detroiters on a 12-foot long canoe, because that's what nerds do when you give us room to go.
Wait, what are you going as this year?
Rosie the Riveter. I know you're shocked. Last year, my fiance was the Werner's Gnome. He's a 6'4" ginger. So he made this Werner's Gnome costume with my mother, and he walked the whole route handing out Werner's ginger ale. So he's become a legend.
That's perfect. He's got the perfect beard for it.
Yeah. But it's Detroit's version of Mardi Gras. Mm-hmm. And really what it is at its base, it harkens all the way back the 300 years to the Nain Rouge's appearance in Detroit. It's the citizens saying, it doesn't matter how bad our luck is. It doesn't matter how unfair we get treated. It doesn't matter how bad everything breaks against us. We're always going to show up. We're always going to find a way to make a good time out of it. And we're always going to, as our city motto says, hope for better things.
And even though the Nain Rouge has been around since the beginning, this is the 10th annual parade. So that's something to celebrate too.
Yeah, and I mean, again, completely volunteer driven. It's a huge undertaking. When they first started, it was a group of volunteers who thought, would anybody come? And now they have to fundraise an exceptional amount of money just to get their permits, because they expect thousands every year.
Mm-hmm.
So those guys deserve, Francis Gurneau and that whole team deserves all the applause you can give them. They're great guys.
Cool. Well, speaking of events, what have you got coming up?
Golly, we've got a full summer of stuff coming up. All of our normal tours are running at DetroitHistoryTours.com. You can get dates and times. We are launching all sorts of new stuff for the summer that we'll post in early April and kind of be our summer catalog. Lots of new stuff on the horizon. And then in September, we are bringing our tall ships back down from Bay City to do the history of the Detroit River on the Detroit River on our 110-foot tall ship, the Appledore 5. And those tickets are at DetroitHistoryClub.com, and they're available now.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it really looks. I'm gonna come on one of those. You can lay back and stargaze and all that.
Well, very cool. Well, Bailey, thanks so much. Bailey Sisoy Isgro of Detroit History Tours and Detroit History Club. We love having you on, and once again, congratulations.
Thank you, and it's always such a pleasure. And Caleb, I'm looking forward to seeing you on a tour.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Awesome. Thanks, Bailey.
Thanks again, guys.
All right. Perfect, Bailey. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry to be a few minutes late.
No worries.
No, that's all good.
We'll talk to you soon.
This is the D.
Brief.
All right, Caleb, we want to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by Michigan Podcast Productions. Here's the deal. We've been doing this podcast.
It's very official.
It's very official. We've been doing this podcast over 120 episodes now. I've been podcasting myself for 8 years now. And every time we have somebody from the arts and entertainment scene like yourself on this podcast, they've always said the same thing to us.
Should I get into podcasting? I'm hearing all about this podcasting. What should I do?
Right. Will Ferrell has a podcast. I need a podcast. That kind of stuff. So The answer, of course, is yes.
You should
be
have a
podcasting.
podcast.
And then they go, where do I start? And that's where Michigan Podcast Productions comes in. If you are in any kind of arts and entertainment and you already have a fan base, but maybe your fans, you don't get the opportunity to perform in front of them every day or to touch them and, engage with them every single day, a podcast is a great way to do that. And so we put together Michigan Podcast Productions to help arts and entertainment organizations here in the Detroit area do that. If you're interested, please go check out the website, michiganpodcastproductions.com.
The D. Breathe.
Breathe.
The D. Breathe.
All right, let's talk about things that are happening on stages around town. Starting with this, you guys are both music lovers. If you were to see a play based on any album, what would you choose?
I got to go with Moondance by Van Morrison. It's just my favorite album anyway.
Really?
And it's just every song is a story, and I really think it would fill up a stage really well.
What would be the plot of the play?
Ooh, man. I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
Man, may have to let me think about that just a little bit.
This is why
My
you're a-
brain has been turning on a little.
Yeah,
That's why you're a songwriter, not a playwright.
Yeah, that's right.
Would you ever write an album that could be turned into a play? Or
Absolutely. And, we've jokingly mostly talked about how some of our songs line up as far as the story goes and could be put together into like a Tommy type
Right, Tommy,
situation.
Green Day, American Idiot,
Yeah,
something like that.
right.
All right, what about you? If you could take any album.
Yeah, this would probably be weird and it's very blast from the past, but remember the band Yaz?
Yeah.
It was Yazoo, but then Yaz.
Move out.
Upstairs at
Do-do-do-do.
Eric's.
Move out.
That I just, as a teen, I love that. And each song made me think of a story.
I
you
wish I
know?
could do the laugh from that.
Yeah,
That's weird.
Yeah, so that's it. I know. It's kind of crazy.
Really? All right, that's an
Yeah.
obscure take.
Yeah.
I was thinking Octung Baby.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved the Rattle and Hum movie.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
All right, well, look, there is a rock musical that is based on an album. It's actually based on Matthew Sweet's 1991 album, Girlfriend, and it is opening at the Detroit Public Theater. The basic plot is two teenage boys. One's a social outcast, and the other is a quintessential jock. So it sounds like something from the early 90s.
It sure does.
Yep.
Or really any time ever in high school. Yeah.
Yeah, these two realize that there's more to life than what high school has taught them.
Yeah, I think that's pretty universal. Yeah.
But I remember that song, Girlfriend by Matthew
Yeah.
Sweet. I like that.
Yeah.
That was early alternative. That was probably before your time.
Yeah, I believe. What
But-
is
but-
it,
but-
91? No, I was a year old. You're
No,
right.
but
You're right.
after your time, because it's not classic rock where you were where
That's
all your
right.
influences were.
Absolutely.
Right. Too modern.
All right, here's another thing. I love Bollywood dancing. I've actually talked about this.
Yes,
on
you
the-
That's funny.
I don't know why. One of my favorite reality TV shows is So You Think You Can Dance.
Oh, and they always have a Bollywood.
And they always,
portion,
I don't
yeah.
know why. I love the popping and locking and the Bollywood.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd never really seen Bollywood before Slumdog Millionaire. That was the first time I'd
Oh,
ever really
that's a
seen
great
in
movie.
the end sequence. I loved the end sequence more than I actually liked the whole
The
movie.
movie? Oh,
yeah,
I like the whole thing.
Because I just think the Bollywood dancing is. You guys don't have Bollywood dancing at your concerts, do you?
Not often.
What kind of dancing happens at your concerts?
Yeah.
Is there bluegrass dancing? Is that a thing?
Yes, there is actually. I mean, it's like like Irish step is what usually people end up doing to bluegrass.
Does that
but
involve clogs? What is
It's most of the dancing in our shows is, uncoordinated way people dancing to rock and roll. It's the long and short of it. It's just is what it is, and it's awesome. We have a couple of fans who go out and really get into it. And I tell you what, if one person comes out and does that and gets in front of us, it brings the energy, you know what I mean? And it makes a difference for us. So
That's awesome.
So
it's
true.
always great. Yeah.
Well, look, if you're looking for some new styles of dance to bring to your shows, you should go check out this show. And by the way, it's not just Bollywood. I don't want to... India is a big place. There's a lot of different styles of dance. But on Saturday, the 23rd, Samraj, The Empires of the Hindustan, is a show that's going to be at Music Hall. Here's the deal. Wayne State's Indian Students Association are presenting this. And they've gotten together with choreographers and dancers, and they're showcasing dance styles from around India, including Bollywood, but also including village, co-ed fusion, girls fusion, men's fusion, filmy, and South Indian. I'm going to be totally honest with you.
I don't
know what any of those others are, right? Like, I'm not going to pretend like I know.
It's
But
a great way to learn.
I actually think I would want to go check that out because...
Music Hall is just an awesome venue too. We saw a Cirque a Cirque show. I can't remember what the last portion of
Cirque
it.
de something?
Yeah, Cirque de something, and it was spectacular. That's just it's just intimate enough and just big enough. It's a great venue. I do love it there.
too.
Yeah, that's really cool. Also want to let you know about some comedy shows. Saturday, the 23rd, you've got Stephen Wright, who is the dry kind of one-liner guy. He's going to be at Royal Oak Music Theater on Sunday, the 24th. You've got Guy Branum of Chelsea Lately and True TV going to be at the Detroit Shipping Company. They actually do this every Sunday night. They do stand-up comedy there, and every once in a while they'll bring in a bigger name.
A big one, huh?
Yeah, and then next Wednesday, you've got B. Simone. She was on Wild and Out. She's going to be over at the Punchline in Southfield. But the other thing about her is that she was apparently cast to play Aaliyah in a movie. And I don't mean like the Lifetime movie that they did a couple years ago. Because remember they did that, and it was
not good.
It did. Yeah, there were a lot of people who had problems with that.
Is there any good Lifetime movies?
Anyway,
sorry.
It's not something that I watch regularly.
Me neither. I don't really know.
But she was cast as Aaliyah, and then I don't know what happened. I can't find any up-to-date news on what's going on with that movie, so I don't know if it's still a project that's in the works or not. Also, Popcorn Falls is a play that's opening at the Tipping Point Theater. And then finally, on Thursday the 21st, Becky, this is for you, Australia's Thunder from Down Under is going to be at the Sound Door.
All right.
I would like to say to the people of Detroit,
I can feel the difference.
Come down to Detroit.
The Detroit Institute of Arts.
The Detroit Zoo.
The Michigan Science Center.
Detroit Cocktail Classic.
The Arab American National Museum.
The Little Caesars Arena.
The Henry Ford.
Eastern Market.
The Cure Line.
The Detroit Derby Girls.
Motor City Brew Tours.
I think everybody can feel
it's a
it.
comeback story that everybody's been rooting for.
Detroit is moving.
And you're listening to The Debrief.
And you are listening to The Debrief.
The debrief. Debrief.
The Debrief.
All right, Becky, anything catch your eye in the news this week?
Yeah, it sure did. So I was thinking about, how long can you kind of keep rocking it out? As a musician, we've seen more and more people touring longer, going for it, well into their 70s kind of thing. So what's your thoughts on that? Should people just hang it up, or you think?
Well, Bob Seger's now hanging it up, but he's been going for a long time, and he's had health issues.
Yeah,
he has.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Kiss just did their last show here in Detroit.
Tour,
I mean, and then there's these bands that keep having farewell tours,
endless.
And then it's not
farewell
really.
tours,
It's more like a cash-in tour by telling everybody it's the last one.
Yeah.
I mean, this is your career choice.
Yeah, it's really it boils down to if it's because they really want to keep playing, or is it because they have 10 houses and need more money? You know what I mean? In my opinion, if you got it in you and you want to keep doing it because you love it, I think you should do it until you fall over dead on that stage. If you're sick of it and you're doing it because you need to pay that next boat off, I feel like you should probably hang it up. That would be my opinion.
It would show through in
you
the
can
quality.
see it. You can see when people are phoning it in, and I've seen a lot of classic rock acts. That's my genre, and I haven't seen many where I felt that way. So
where you felt what way? That they should hang it up, or that?
Yeah.
Mostly you've been glad. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Me too.
There's been a couple rants that I could have passed at some classic rock concerts for some reason. They get a little preachy. I don't know why, but
or political.
Other than that,
but this is a question you got to ask. For example, even like football players or other people. Like, is there an age at which you think maybe you don't want to be going out on the road? We have a lot of stand-up comics on this, and I think there's a point at which they don't want to be out in clubs every night. They want to be home with families and
to
stuff
be
like
honest,
that.
I've been playing in the bars since I was too young to be in the bars, sneaking in and stuff. I could never play in another bar situation again. I mean, there's certain ones, don't get me wrong, I shouldn't say that so blatantly, but I can understand where some of those people are coming from if they decide I don't want to do this anymore, because people don't understand that when you play rock and roll, it's not just a rock star vacation. It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life.
I'm
and
sure.
that's true. That's not me, talking myself up. It's so much work. It's unbelievable,
Yeah, a lot of energy taken.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I want to tell you about this woman who is 76 years old, and she's still faithfully going to the Movement Festival.
Wow.
Okay,
so cool.
So that's not just club. That's like a
She's got it in here.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
3 days, music festival, all kinds of energy. So her name's Patricia Leigh Dorsey, but you might know her around Detroit as Grandma Techno.
I have heard the name. I've never met her.
She's pretty
legendary.
legendary.
I think I saw her at the DMAs. She was there at the DMAs, right?
Yeah. So she has been going to the Movement Festival and taking pictures there for the past 14 years. And she is actually confined to an electric scooter. She has MS. She's suffered with this disease for 30 years, and it's been pretty debilitating on her. And most recently, she actually just broke her ankle, too. So she's in a rehab facility, but she'll be set to get out soon. So I just think she's got the greatest spirit, okay? She could just be like, well, forget it. I'm going to relax at home, whatever. But she takes that scooter and she gets her big camera out and goes to movement every year. And she said she loves seeing all the young people, and she loves having hope in the next generation. And her favorite thing is watching people dance, like totally without any restriction, just being free in themselves and losing themselves in the music and the dance. And so particularly at Movement, she likes to really focus on the crowd, not the DJs on the stage. So most of her pictures are of the crowd, and she's treated like royalty. I mean, I went to Movement yesterday and I saw there's a sign like for spots that are reserved for her.
Wow, awesome. You're badass.
So she can see, and people will help her up and dance and stuff. She's just amazing. So I love this story because she's got a book coming out, a photo book that looks like it's going to be beautiful. The title is They Call Me Grandma Techno. And she said she chose that title because she doesn't want it to be about her, because her pictures are about everyone else. She doesn't want the focus on her. It's her, how she sees things. So it's a Kickstarter campaign, and it just passed 313 backers, which I thought was really cool for 313 area code. Yeah. But she would love to have more. She has surpassed the goal to get her book published. She needed $16,500. It has surpassed. But if we make it to $18,500, the publisher will throw in an 8x10 print to every order. So this closes March 25th. So if you want to get in on it and be among the first to get Grandma Techno's book, it's published by Jesse Corey at One Time Run, who also runs the Murals in the Market Festival. So
cool. So we'll throw that Kickstarter link up on the show notes page there. If
exactly.
You
or you can Google Grandma Techno, because you'll also find a lot of fun, cool stuff on her.
This is the Deep Brief.
All right, Caleb, you brought your guitar there. You played something for us yesterday. You going to play something for us again today?
Absolutely.
All right, what do we got here?
This one's a little bit different. It's something we don't play out as a band, really. It's one that I wrote, a little folky thing called Gypsy in My Mind.
It's all you.
My caravan's been sitting lately. I've been feeling far too weak to roam. And the more and more I pace this floor, this place is feeling less and less like home. Seems every time I turn around, hard luck and trouble's all I'm gonna find. And I close my eyes to what is real, wander with the gypsy in my mind. In my mind, I've seen rolling hills and plains, overflowing streams and swaying pines. In my mind, oh, I'm busy chasing dreams greater than the things I leave behind. When I close my eyes to what is real, I wander with the gypsy in my mind. This old guitar's been sitting lately, rusted strings are begging for a note. But each melody's the same to me, like every song I've ever wrote. And every time I sing the blues, the same old rhythm's all I seem to find. Oh, I close my eyes to what is real and wander with the gypsy in my mind. In my mind, I've seen rolling hills and plains, overflowing streams and swaying pines. In my mind, oh, I'm busy chasing dreams greater than the things I leave behind. When I close my eyes to what is real, I wander with the gypsy in my mind.
Oh, that was awesome. So good. Yeah. Okay, take it back. He's obviously going to be extremely famous
Right.
and may come and sue us for this
Right.
someday.
That's fine. We'll deal with it when the time comes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is the Detroit. This is the Debrief.
All right, Caleb. Thank you so much for coming back on.
Absolutely.
And thank you for playing again for us.
I know. That was so special. Really cool.
So, look, we have an email list. Here's the deal. If you want links to everything that we talk about in the show, go to our website. It is thedebriefdetroit.com. Sign up for the email list. We'll send you those links every week.
Or you can just text the word Detroit from your mobile phone to 444-999.
All right, Caleb, one last thing you got to do before we get out of here. Are you ready to play a little game?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Here's how this works. We're going to ask you for a series of rapid-fire recommendations. Just tell us the first thing that comes to mind.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Starting with this. What is your favorite album by a Michigan band?
By a Michigan band. Man, I'm a big Bob Seger fan. I am. So, what? Night Moves is the name of that album, right?
I think so. I think so.
Okay. I see. I honestly did not know very much about Bob Seger
before you moved
moving here. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he's kind of a Midwest guy.
Yeah.
More so.
Yeah, definitely.
But my dad always used to play some Seger, so I really,
cool.
it's got a special place for sure.
Very cool.
How about, do you have a favorite Michigan beer?
Two Hearted, hands
Okay.
down. I'm a big IPA fan, and it was, I believe, voted the best IPA in.
It's been at the top of a bunch of lists.
It's apparently it is the beer that they compare other IPAs to for the IBUs and all that stuff.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so.
I got to tell you, I'm not a huge IPA fan, and I like
That's
Two Hearted.
just so smooth.
Yeah, I
like
like
the
Two Hearted too.
It is,
It's a
really
crowd
nice.
pleaser.
Hop Slam's great too, though. I'm just a big yeah.
How about, do you have a favorite outdoor festival in Michigan?
Yes, Wheatland Music Festival. It is literally the reason that I play music. If it wasn't for that place, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. So.
And where is that?
That's in Remus. It's pretty much dead center of the mitten, basically.
Nice. Let's ask a Port Huron question, because we don't get to do that very often.
I know.
Sure.
If we're headed to Port Huron, where's a good place to go for brunch?
For brunch, the Atrium Cafe is an excellent place. It's kind of like 1950s themed. Yeah, and it's really cool. They have a screen. They play old black and white movies type thing, and they have old seats from a really old movie theater in there, and with some in the booths. It's super, super cool place.
Nice.
So it sounds like where you live is kind of a vacation. But if you're going somewhere else, what's a favorite summer vacation spot in the state?
Just anywhere past that Mackinac Bridge. We go to the UP a lot. We play up there as often as we can, and man, I just got a soft spot in my heart for the UP for sure.
All right, this is a hard one. I hope you're ready.
Okay.
You are a Michigander. Say something nice about Ohio.
Oh God, can I pass on that? I better watch it. We got some fans from Ohio now. There's actually some really great music fans that come out of Ohio. That is something to say, and I don't know if it's because they're starving for good music there or not.
Yeah. What's something that you're looking forward to when you move closer to Detroit?
Just being closer to the nightlife and the music industry, basically. I do a lot of singer-songwriter type stuff too, and a lot of solo and duo stuff on acoustics, and it's a great way to supplement income, and it's just not around on the weekdays back home either. So that's a really big thing that I'm shooting for. I love doing it. I love playing music, and it's practice that I'm getting paid a decent amount for. It's a win-win. Everybody wins type thing with the acoustic stuff. Mm-hmm. So that is a really big reason I'm trying to hopefully find some venues I could do some weekday gigs and stuff like that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, we're excited that you're coming here.
Yes.
We hope that you'll be playing a lot more often in the area as well.
I hope so, yeah.
Caleb Malooley, the band is called Gasoline Gypsies. People can find out all about the band over at the website, which is
thegasolinegypsies.com.
Right. And also, while they're there, they can check out the album Vagabundos.
Yep.
And how can they follow you on social media?
Pretty much any social media page you can think of. Most of them are just the Gasoline Gypsies. So just check it out, and you should be able to find us pretty easy.
I just want to take 2 seconds for you to tell everybody about your day job, because I think it's awesome.
So I write and produce radio jingles. Cool. Yeah, so I do it in our hometown, and I work through the radio station there to help their clients out, and it's probably just about the coolest. For me, it's one of the coolest jobs you can have, and we've dialed it in really good, and just to come in and pretty much know that I'm going to see a smile on that person's face when I show them a song is.
So here's a question.
Awesome.
Do you do podcast jingles?
Yeah, actually, my brother has that podcast.
What's it called?
Those movie guys.
That's your brother? Okay.
Yep. And he uses one of our songs for the intro, and then I helped him out with a lot of the sound effects and stuff in between. So
I think we could be talking about a collaboration with
I
Michigan
think so,
Podcast
too.
Productions.
you guys let me know.
Have your people call our people.
Will do.
We'll set up. We'll do brunch at that place over in
Yeah,
Port Huron.
that would be great.
Yes,
That would
yes.
be great.
We'll come see. Seriously, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on the
you.
show. It's been absolutely great. We'll put all the videos up on our show notes page and everything.
Lots
So
this
go check
week.
out.
We got
Yeah.
a lot of good
Yeah,
stuff this
so,
week.
Until next time, Detroit's moving.
Keep up.
The Debrief.
Your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.
Interested in hearing from folks in the craft beer industry? Tune in monthly to the Beer Tour Guy podcast. I'm your host, Steve Johnson, and I'm the owner-operator of Motor City Brew Tours. And since 2009, I've taken 25,000 people to enjoy the best beer, cider, and mead being made in Southeast Michigan and beyond. On the Beer Tour Guy podcast, monthly I interview folks working in the industry where you can learn more about what's going on in the industry and in other tours that I'm offering in my tour company. If you'd like to learn more about our show, Beer Tour Guy, or Motor City Brew Tours, visit motorcitybrewtours.com.